Hello, welcome to another drive-in double feature. I'm Ryan,
I'm Nathan.
and this is the podcast where we talk about two movies a week every Tuesday and Thursday. But before I get into anything, we have a Patreon over at patreon.com/drive-in double feature podcast. Just some, you know what? I go look at it for yourself. Just look at it.
Yeah,
I'm not going to tell you.
just
I'm not going
look.
to tell you what's there. Go
hmm
look at it. See if that's something you want to see. If that's
I
something you want to see, it's only $5 a month.
I do think we do have a free episode. There is one episode that you can listen to without paying. So if you want to just listen to it, see how you feel about it.
Yeah, just go
Mhm.
look at it. What do you need me to tell you? Just go look at it. Okay. All
Okay.
right.
Yeah, there
Perfect.
you go. There we go.
All right. But don't worry, it's not going to affect this episode. You can stay right here for this one. But today we're talking about 1986, The Big Easy, and that's directed by Jim McBride and starring Dennis Quaid and Ellen Barkin. Now,
Mhm.
Cher, that's what I'm going to call you. How you doing, Cher?
Oh, is that what you're calling me?
No,
I don't speak this language. This movie didn't get it. Could not understand what they were saying.
this movie for me is like it's like Fargo. It's like it's like they make a big deal, but in Fargo, it's like the accent is a character in this movie and the movie in
hmm
Fargo. It's like that's kind of like this one. Everyone talks with a Cajun accent.
Yes, yes, and Dennis Quaid for sure is really into that Cajun accent.
Oh yeah, he's all about that.
Uh-huh, yeah.
Have you
Yeah.
did you know anything about this movie before going into it, or did you have
No,
any idea?
I knew nothing about it. What made you pick it?
I just it's been on my mind for a while, and I remember like seeing on, my personal Bible, Rotten Tomatoes. I remember seeing it had a pretty decently sized score over there, so I was like, back in
Okay.
my mind, right there, I'll keep that close to the chest.
Okay,
And
yeah, yeah.
and I don't know, I was in the mood for a crime movie. Apparently, we both were
I
this
guess
week,
so, yeah.
so it just seemed pretty interesting. This one, I now you could maybe correct me if you don't agree, but sort of what I was my impression of the movie. So like foul play, I was doing like a bit that it was romance. It's like I'm gonna pick all these romance movies or whatever,
hmm
and that movie foul play, it was like the exact opposite. It was like a little bit of romance, but and then mostly like this big like overly complicated murder assassination plot that
hmm
was in there. This one, I was expecting a crime movie. I was expecting like of this big like mystery, like got to solve the murder type of thing. I was kind of expecting kind of like the movie Body Heat is kind of what I was
Oh, okay.
imagining, like
Yeah.
this. There's a lot of crime going on over romance, but this movie is like a straight up romance movie almost.
No, it is. Yeah, it's a romance movie about like cops. I mean there is crime in there like you said.
But
But
yeah, it's the opposite. It's like it's a romance movie with a little bit of crime
yeah,
in
I
there.
mean, I mean, honestly, though, this movie as a whole is kind of a genre anomaly in my mind. It's like a mix of romance. It's got crime. It's also a comedy. Like. I wasn't expecting as many actual jokes out of this movie. It's not even like awkward comedy. It's like actual like comedy. Like there's like the whole like toupee joke that's like a running gag in this movie. It's kind of interesting. You know what movie it reminded me of a lot? Trouble in Mind. It gave me a lot of Trouble in Mind vibes off of it.
Yeah, like this kind of like weird sense of humor, like in this
Yeah,
supposed to be like supposedly gritty background.
and honestly, New Orleans here, like I mean, I've never been to New Orleans, but
Orleans, excuse you. Orleans.
Nope.
That's what us New Orleans say.
I refuse. But it feels like its own world. I hate to be that person that New York is a character itself, but but no, the city here is like its own thing. It really has its like rich look to it. It's really interesting.
Yeah, it's I really, it really is a very um New Orleans centric movie because like
Mm.
they go and get crayfish,
Hmm.
and they get uh they go to a jazz bar, and they
Yeah.
go to
And I guess
I,
all of these places really exist. The places he's referencing are like real restaurants and stuff.
yeah, and it's just very New Orleans movie with lots of locations, and like I said, almost everyone in this movie speaks with an accent, and like
Yes.
and Ellen Barkin's the only one that doesn't have an accent really.
No, she doesn't because she's not from there. She's
No,
from outside. She's an outsider.
yeah, and she is working with the she works for the DA's office, isn't that it? Or
Yeah, internal affairs. Yeah.
yeah, so they're kind of there's been a series of murders, and one of the mob people was whacked off by excuse me, wise guys.
Yeah, wise guys, please. Around here we call them wise guys. Okay, you gotta. I'm not even gonna attempt Dennis Quaid's accent. I don't think I could do it. But he
No,
makes sure that she knows that it's wise guys.
yeah, he's like, we don't call them we don't call them mob guys, so shall we call them wise
Yeah,
guys?
God. I mean, like, it's hard to talk about this movie without bringing up the accent. I don't hate it because he goes all in on it, but God, it sounds so weird.
it I'll be honest, at first it was pretty grating for me. It was just
Okay,
kind of
yeah.
like I was like, I'm not really a fan of this, but then just as it went on, it's just I became more comfortable with it.
Yeah,
and
you get
and I'm
into
just
it.
like, and it's like, okay, now this guy is Remy McSwain. He's not Dennis Quaid. He's
What a name. You said it out loud now, and I was like, oh wow. Yeah, that is his name, huh?
yeah, that's his
but
name.
but no, you do get into the character. I really think so. Dennis Quaid actually does a pretty good job in this movie. I actually like the romance between these two. Ryan, I have to say it. I really liked this movie. I really enjoyed this one.
Oh, you did. That's good.
Yes, yeah. I had a good time.
Oh, that's
So,
great to hear.
yeah, you hated it.
Yeah, I hate no, no. I know. I liked it. I liked it. I liked it.
Hmm.
Um, I like I said, it took a minute for me to like really warm up to this movie because like I said, I was expecting, like I said, a real gritty type of like mystery movie, or like something like figuring out like who's behind this big plot, and
Hmm.
that's kind of like the the background plot. It's kind of like not even like in the forefront of the movie. The forefront, like I
Yeah.
said, is Dennis Quaid and Ellen Barkin's character, and
Hmm.
it's at first she's kind of like this uptight woman. He's like the real lax chill cop. And at first he's kind of like he does bend the rules a lot.
Hmm.
He does play by his own rules a little bit. He takes things like in a different direction, or he arrested like these guys that tried to mug Ellen Barkin, and he was just like if you scratch my car, I'm gonna come beat the crap out of you, blah blah. And then he was just like, now do you understand your rights, type of thing.
Yeah, saying it in front of her, like I'm
Like
straight. Because
yeah,
yeah, because that's the whole deal. Because he's not a good cop. He definitely bends the rules a little bit. I mean, he's in on like a mafia. They have the orphans, the or what is it, orphans and something
orphans
else.
and sick mothers.
Yeah, orphans and sick mothers fund that constantly gets brought up throughout the movie. But I guess him and Ellen Barkin, they just can't get away from each other. They have like this romance that really shouldn't exist. Ellen Barkin is like
Yeah,
she's totally against it because she's by the books, of course. She goes after bad cops. But I guess
yeah,
just irresistible. And like I was really surprised. Ellen Barkin really enjoyed her performance. She's really odd in this role. She makes so many weird faces. Her character is very particular.
Yeah, I like both of their performances
Me
in this
too.
movie.
Yeah.
I really believe their chemistry between each other because kind of at first, like I said, he's real lax, she's uptight, and so he comes off as real annoying to her because he's
Mhm.
clearly trying to like flirt with her and she's not
Yeah.
having any of it. But he takes her out, shows her a good time,
Hmm.
and they start to become intimate, and then it's like, but then it's like, oh, there's another murder that happened. I gotta go check that
That's
out. And
they're about to just like go all in, and then the his pager goes off.
well, yeah, and it's funny because he's like, oh, I gotta go take care of this, and then he's at this murder scene, and then she shows up too because they're like, oh, we need the DA involved too because we need a cop might have been involved in this because they claim to see an unmarked police car.
Yeah, which like later in the movie we find out that kind of ties a lot of the murders around the city together is an unmarked police car, and that's why they think that's why internal affairs is looking into everything.
Yeah, and that's kind of like the main plot is just there's all these mob hits that are going on, and it's like other crimes that are related to drugs, but we it's assumed that there's like this big gang
Wise
war
guy,
between what?
wise guy war.
Oh, excuse me, wise guy.
You're good.
Oh, these wise guys are running around like killing each other, so it's kind of just assumed that it's just this big gang warfare between them. So
Mm-hmm.
it's but there's really something more going on behind the scenes, and it's not as shown at first that Remy, Dennis Quaid is not a full on dirty cop. It's very clear. Like I said, he plays by his own rules, but it does show later in the movie that he was about to take a bribe from somebody, and it turns out to be a sting operation.
Yeah, yeah, and it wasn't even him that was supposed to go. He was kind of coerced into it by the rest. Everybody else there didn't want to go, and they're like, "Oh, you have to go."
Yeah, Ned
Um,
Beatty, returning actor.
yeah, Ned Beatty, he will return many times, I'm sure. But yeah, Ned Beatty is kind of like his like stepdad. It sounds like he's been dating his mom for a while and is actually planning on marrying her because, of course, he's retiring soon. You gotta have a cop that's retiring.
Mm-hmm.
And John Goodman, in a very small part, is a member of the police force as well.
Yeah, I wanted more John Goodman. I can never have enough John Goodman.
That's true. I know you love John Goodman, your most
I
watched
do.
actor.
He is my most watched act. That's actually the real reason I picked this movie, so I can have more John Goodman like on
Bring
my.
that toll up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I'm gonna pick more Ned Beatty movies. I'm gonna change this all for you. Ned Beatty
Well, I,
month.
well, I'm sure not John Goodman's in a couple of those, but anyway.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But yeah, it turns into like this big plot at first because they have a big falling out because she's in internal affairs, and
Hmm.
she's just like, how could you, like I trusted you, you said you were one of the good guys, because he made a big point, like it's like, we're trying to clean up this town, like I'm one of the good guys type of thing. He said that explicitly, and that's kind of like,
Hmm.
you just lied to my face. And he's able to there's like, I mean, he is able to get off this crime in a really specific way, like it's just very dirty cop method where he has to go buy this industrial magnet,
Hmm.
and he gets it submitted to the as evidence to the evidence locker, and it just happens to be where his videotape is of him on being on camera accepting a bribe from somebody, and it
Yeah,
ruins the videotape because of that.
because like while he's getting arrested, then one of them yells, "We got it on videotape. We have evidence." So I guess that's how we know. Yeah, he throws like a giant magnet into this place. And let me tell you how much I love his lawyer in this movie. his like
Oh
lawyer
yeah.
is like a fancy lawyer that only represents bad people, and he's like so open about it. He's like, I only represent the scumbags. It's
Yeah.
so
Oh yeah.
good.
He speaks so eloquently too, even though he's like fully admitting that he's like, he's like,
Oh honey.
he only serves criminals. Like he was saying, like, now, shit, you should be a defense attorney instead of a DA. You get to meet all kinds of colorful characters.
Yeah,
Like,
I wish there's a little more of like the odd characters, because they go meet like one of the crime bosses that practices voodoo, who's like this large guy. Oh man, what was his name? But
I
he's
can't
out.
remember. Yeah.
He's out of the movie way too quick, because he has like 28, like so many kids and grandchildren. He's like, I read the Bible and I read
Uh,
the line about the have be fruitful and bear many children, and I didn't read
uh,
any more than that.
Daddy Mention.
Daddy mention. Great stuff.
Yeah, great name.
Hmm.
But yeah, they just meet all, like you said, they meet all these different people when they're
Hmm.
just out and about, like meeting all these colorful characters. But like, and it's kind of explicitly stated, how dirty this whole police headquarters are. Because I mean, Ned Beatty, says to Remy, like before he goes in, like, hey, like we take care of our own, type of thing. Don't worry, this is all going to blow over, type of
Hmm.
thing. And they eventually he does get off, because since that video was destroyed, they're like, well, we got no evidence on you, so you're free.
Hmm.
And it doesn't set like a good tone for Ellen Barkin, because now she really hates him, because she already figures out, like, you were behind this whole evidence tampering. But he does try to win her over, and then through this he kind of begins a transformation where he's just like, because like they ask him, like, oh hey Remy, you ready for your deposit of your orphans and sick mothers fund? He's just like, take me off the orphans and sick mothers fund.
Yeah,
Like, I don't want to be a part of that anymore.
yeah, because there is a good scene where like she yells at him and like just like, why did you join? Why did you start this? And they have a really good conversation. I wasn't expecting the movie to turn into like, he's like, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna stop this, and he actually changes for the better and really tries to solve this. And he starts an investigation into the police because he knows that it's coming from the inside. And of course, watching the movie, I already knew it was going to be Ned Beatty. Like it, I had a
Yeah.
very strong feeling.
Well, I mean, that's kind of like the thing. Like, if there was one thing I would maybe nitpick a little bit, it's just the mystery aspect of this movie is really not that surprising. I mean, it's like,
Hmm.
because like all these other wise guy characters, they don't ever show these people or really make
No,
mention of them. So you already know it's like, okay, well, it's not going to be them. And the only notable people on the police force are John Goodman and the other guy and
the
Ned
toupee
Beatty's.
guy.
Yeah, yeah, the toupee guy. Yeah. And so that's kind of like, you kind of figure out very quickly what's coming together. And then they do show you the scene where, like, uh, it's funny because like Remy like goes over to Ned Beatty and he's basically confronting him. It's like, what's going on here? Like, why are you letting all these drugs out
Mhm.
into New Orleans and type of thing? And he's like, are you wearing a wire? Like,
Yeah,
and
and
he has
he's
to
like, let's
show
have a
Ned.
show. Yeah,
Yeah, but
I really like that. There's like a line where he's like, he's like, the only person that has access to this stuff is like a captain, a high ranking. And then Ned Beatty's like, well, it's either me or you. And was it you? I think is what he says. And I was like, wow, that's actually, and of course it's not him. Really liked that whole scene in the swing set where Dennis Quaid is just like learning everything. Ned Beatty's kind of getting it off his chest, and they like fight each other, and Ned Beatty pulls out a gun on him. And of course, the woman he's going to marry, Dennis Quaid's mom, shows up. It loses a little bit of the good edge because Ned Beatty runs away, and seeing him run is a little. He's got a funny run. That's all I'm saying.
yeah, yeah. But as a whole, I like that scene
Hmm.
a lot. I
Yes.
thought it was a good scene. So, um, it does kind of build up to this final confrontation, and it turns out, they do find like the drug stash, and Ned Beatty and the other two cops are there, and they end up getting into a squabble. They end up shooting Ned Beatty,
Yeah, and like
and
in like really cold blood, John Goodman just like and shoots him, and then John Goodman's just like, oh wow. But I think that he just has like a short reaction and that's it.
yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
then but of course Remy's there to save the day, and
Yes, yes.
and then ends up killing the two cops, and everything's fine. So the only thing, one probably like the biggest gripe I'm going to have to give about this movie, it is one of the cheesiest endings.
I
Like
agree. I think it's a pretty
it's
bad
so
ending.
it's so cheesy. Like, so they just show the scene where like these two guys were just like John Goodman gets blown away off to the with a gun, and then this other guy gets shot, like the toupee guy gets shot like in the chest with the flare gun, and he just gets set
Mm-hmm.
on fire, and it's like the super bloody, and like Dennis Quaid and Ellen Barkin are just like, oh my god, I can't believe this happened. Cut to them dancing in a hotel room while wearing like a tuxedo and a wedding dress. It's like,
Yeah,
okay, this is a little too on the nose for my
no,
taste.
I agree. It's way too sudden, and it's credits rolling too. That happens. They're married, dancing, and then credits. It's over. They got married. There you go. There's your solution. There's the resolution to it all. Once again, it's a movie that just kind of ends suddenly. But this one has, I guess, it has the story after, but not the story I wanted to hear after. We could have just
Yeah, I mean,
gotten like a "we're together now" kind of deal.
yeah, or just he gets commended, he gets promoted. Because that's the thing. Like Ned Beatty was retiring and basically telling Remy, like, well, hey, now you're going to be the next big shot around here, type of thing, or
Mm-hmm.
or like him saying, like, oh, we're going to clean things up around here or something like that. But yeah, it was just kind of like cut to they're in their honeymoon suite dancing, and it's the
Yeah.
credits are rolling, and I'm like, okay, yeah. That's what I expected to happen, maybe in the back of my mind, but I didn't think you'd actually show me this either. But
Yeah, I agree. It was an odd choice.
but it's not enough to deter my feelings of the movie. I had a good time with it. It's
Mm-hmm.
definitely a solid movie,
Mm-hmm.
with a lot of good acting in it, decent story to it. So I definitely give it a recommend.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. I mean, I just it's such an odd movie. It's got like a crazy cast of characters. It's definitely a movie that I feel like maybe has I wouldn't say style over substance. There's substance, but it's heavy on style, and I do like
It
its style.
it's an immersive movie.
There you go. Yeah, it's an immersive movie, and I like that about it. I like that it really gets into the characters. It gets into the mood of it all. Yeah, I say give it a shot. It's really good.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Nathan, that's gonna cover it for the big easy. That wasn't so bad. I would almost say it was easy to
Yeah,
talk about.
it was a little easy.
Yeah, well, just a little easy.
Yeah.
But let's talk about something else, Nathan. So Nathan, what are we going to be talking about on Tuesday?
Well, Ryan, we're returning to one of my favorite places. Okay, the Wall. We're going to. I don't know. We're talking about the Wall. I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah, 1982's The Wall, which the whole movie is right now on YouTube. So check that
I
one
could
out.
better watch that one quick.
Well, it's been on there for a year.
Well, perfect. Well, Nathan, there's one thing that I think is more scary than anything, and that's adoption, Nathan. So that's why
Yeah.
we're going to be talking about a deadly adoption. And that is free on YouTube right now.
Awesome. Well, YouTube is the place to be.
It is
Yeah.
free,
Yeah.
but But hey, if there's some other free movies you want us to talk about, please email us over at drive-in-double-feature-podcast@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on X at DIDFpod. And once again, check out the Patreon at patreon.com/drive-in-double-feature-podcast. But bon we shall.
Bye. Until next time.